What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Super pumped. We've got a very, very special guest with us today. She's, if you can see behind her, she's got a wall of fame there. We're going to have to ask her about that. She is a new mommy, an author. She is a serial entrepreneur, a motivational speaker, a business and development consultant / coach, and she's trademarked. So we'll have to learn a little bit more about that. Sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, and please listen to Coach Latosha Brooks. Coach Brooks, thank you for joining us today. You are you've got a lot going on. So can you tell us a little bit? I think there's a lot we can talk about. Why don't you tell us where you want to start and we'll go from there.
We can start anywhere, but first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I am all of those things that you stated. I started very young in business. I've been in business for a very long time. My story is a little bit different. It's unique. I didn't choose entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship chose me.
Oh, wow.
And so 12 years old, sixth grade. My sister needed me, and she's older than me. She's 6 years older than me, and she knew my talents before I knew my talents. And so she's like, hey, I have this big thing that's coming up. I need you. Can you be available? Can you do it for me?
Yeah.
It was the same day as my performing arts audition. And so I had to pick between helping my big sister, who is 6 years older than me, or performing, and auditioning for the largest performing arts studio in Florida. And I chose my sister. And so that then just kind of opened the door for me to become an entrepreneur. And so I stayed up under her wings until I got married and moved out of Florida, military spouse. And then I was on my own. Wow. And then, I got the big head, I was like, I can do this by myself.
Yeah, that's right. Well, so you got to have that though, being an entrepreneur, you got to have that confidence, or else, man, it's going to be really rough.
It was still rough.
Yeah.
It was still rough because I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I didn't have any help. At that time, coaches and mentoring were not anything that we could afford.
Yeah.
And so I went through that journey of being by myself alone. They say it's very lonely being an entrepreneur. You don't have friends that can relate to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm young. And so, and being in the game for a long time, I thought I knew everything. And in all actuality, I didn't know anything.
Yeah.
And so it was a rough transition when I got on my own, but eventually I figured it out.
Oh, yeah. Well, you look very happy. Well, and also happy birthday, everybody. It's Latasha's birthday today. She's recording with us. So you are very special to be hearing this conversation between us today. So you are quite accomplished. I kind of want to talk a little bit about your coaching, because I love coaches and what you do and people you work with. So you are specifically helping with business development with individuals, or what do you focus on as a coach?
Yep. So I focus on all things business development. Because my degree is in business administration with a minor in entrepreneurship. I love business. I love all things when it comes to business. And a lot of people don't realize when it comes to building that foundation of the business, it's the same for all of us. It is then once we decide our strategy and what industry we're focusing on and, the route that we want to take in entrepreneurship, when you have to dive deeply into those specific things. But all of us start out the same, making sure the business structure is together, making sure we understand business, because a lot of people that are in business don't even understand business. And that holds us back for quite a while, And so I decided, instead of putting myself in a box saying I only help with this or I only help with that, I took my experience and my degree and I'm like, let me help people understand business. I can develop any type of business because I specialize in all things business development.
Yeah. And I think that that's very important to identify, is that, your experience along with your education is very powerful, because sometimes people go through the education, they don't have the experience. And sometimes people get the experience, but not the education. So I think the two of them combined is a very powerful for your clients. So when do you think someone looks or searches out for someone like you to work with?
So that's the tricky part. Most of the people that I work with, they come to me all broken. And with my husband being military, I have this concept that after years of dealing with broken businesses, I'm like, we got to break these businesses down and build them back up again, just like the military do, our Marines, our soldiers, our Air Forcemen, we have to break these businesses down because most of the time people start with no help.
Yeah.
And when they start with no help, we tend to do everything wrong. And so if it was my choice, I would recommend people to put a coach or a mentor, whether it's free or an investment, put it at the beginning of your plan. Yeah. Don't wait until you break the system and then cry for help, because it's harder to fix and undo those bad habits that we've trained ourselves to do than it is to start off fresh, clean, and doing things the right way. I have a habit of telling people, let's do things right the first time. Yeah. So we don't have to clean up and go through the headache and all the other phases that we go through when we're developing businesses.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I know I'm a serial entrepreneur myself, and I've done a lot of things. I don't call it necessarily failure, because I feel like when you don't succeed right away, there's lessons to be learned. So I don't like to say I've failed at anything, because I to actually go out and try and take a risk is a huge win and success in itself. But there are certain things that I could have done differently from the beginning that would have probably propelled me forward in a much better place than the things that I had to go through along the way.
And sometimes, and you're correct. There are a lot of lessons, and what people don't realize that don't understand business, you're going to go through lessons throughout your entire journey. Yeah. There is no such thing as I'm doing everything so perfect and so right. Yeah. You are going to continue to go through lesson after lesson after lesson. And that's just a part of the journey.
Yeah. I love it. It's all about the journey, not the destination. And, when it gets hard, I like to tell myself, like, oh, there's gonna, when I'm having a bad day or things are just like, things are popping up, I'm like, okay, this is a chance for growth and for me to learn something out of this situation. Yep. But I digress. So when someone comes to you, what does that process look like for them?
So I like to help entrepreneurs and small business owners develop a roadmap. So I have this theory that part of us learning a lot of lessons is when we don't have a destination, when we don't understand that when you get in a car to drive, 9 times out of 10, you need a GPS system. Yeah. 9 times out of 10, you need to plan that route. Where are you going to stop at? Where are you going to eat? At what point do you need to refill yourself because you need some more gas to keep going? How much money is it going to take from you to get to California to Texas? It is all about a plan and a strategy. And so that's what I help entrepreneurs realize. You can't just get in a car and start driving and think you're going to become a billionaire, become a millionaire. You have to have a plan. You have to strategize. You have to be prepared to fill that cup back up. You got to be prepared to stop sometimes. You got to be prepared for the thunderstorms that's going to come your way, and the stop signs and the yellow lights, you just got to be prepared. And so I help entrepreneurs birth their roadmap so that the journey is not just driving. You got a GPS. You have somebody to help you map this thing out so that you can get to that destination as quick as possible, as safe as possible, with the least amount of cost. Because when you don't plan, guess what happens? You end up spending more money. Oh yeah. When you go in the grocery store, you don't have a grocery list, you end up spending more money.
Or you're hungry.
Right. That makes it even worse. And so I try to help business owners understand that. And every time, 10 out of 10, they're like, this makes so much sense. Yeah. And I'm like, you get it, and then it gives them a checklist as well. So, you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, what it's going to take for you to pull this off. Yeah. And then, how much work is put into it. Because sometimes social media make us think that entrepreneurship is easy, because everybody you see online, you see all the good, you never see the bad. And so people jump into it like, oh, I'm gonna do that too. If she's doing it, I can do that too. But you don't know what goes on behind the scene of it. And so I try to equip entrepreneurs to be smarter, to work smarter, not harder, and to strategize and not just drive. It's costly when you drive.
Oh, geez. And tell me about it. I just drove 18 hours and we stopped a lot for gas.
Right. And to refuel yourself.
Oh my gosh. I had to throw that in there. What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Can we get a round of applause today? Woo! Today I'm excited to announce Manscaped launched their Ultra Premium Collection. Believe it or not, it's for your not so private parts. I'm talking about a leveled up hygiene routine with your favorite manly scent. And let me tell you something, oh, it smells so good. My man wears this every day. This is an all-in-one skin and hair care kit for the everyday man and covers you from head to toe. Manscaped is trusted below the waist. Now trust them with the rest. Join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com and use the code LABELFREE20 for 20% off and free shipping. And enjoy. Can you have like a success story of someone that you've worked with to help build that roadmap with them to where they are today?
Yeah, so I have a little trick, okay?
Okay.
I cheat in life on everything except my husband. All right, let me put that out there, right? And so,
That was cute.
One of the things that I love is that I learned later on in the game, I learned how to work with the number one customer in the world. As business owners, you know, when we're limited to customers, it causes a lot of stress. You don't know what, you know, you get frustrated because things are not working the way you want it to work. Well, I stumbled across working with the government. And at the time, I did not know that the government was the number one customer in the world. They're the best customer to have. They don't cheat you. They don't underprice you. They don't try to negotiate with you. They don't give you all these rules and regulations. They allow you to still live the life that you want to live and also work and enjoy, you know, and do what you're supposed to do as a business owner. Yeah. And they're the only customer that gets money every single year to pour back into us. Yeah. And so I teach clients how to work with the number one customer in the world. If you are tired of chasing after customers, if you are tired of, you know, your prices are going up and down because you're just trying to keep up with, you know, your clientele, or you're not making any money because you're not marketing to the right clientele, let me help you figure out what you're passionate about, what you're passionate doing. Yeah. And let me help you sell that to the government. Yeah. Because what people don't understand is that the government needs us. Small businesses is what keep the economy going. We provide 46% of jobs every single year. You know, we are the creators. Every billion-dollar company out there, from Amazon, which is only a 10-year-old company, was birthed in somebody's garage. You know, Apple and all of these major companies, they are all started from a small business owner. Wow. And so the government knows that. The government knows they need us. You know, they need, you know, we need each other. And so I teach entrepreneurs how to not be so booked and busy and stressed out and underworked and underpaid and just doing it just to do it because that's what society show you to do it. I teach them how to transition to be paid and free, which is what my trademark is in. Because when you work with the number one customer in the world, you don't have to be booked and busy. One contract can be $1 million. Yeah. You know, some of us never seen $1 million in our life, you know? And so when I teach them how to create that roadmap, I also teach them and help them strategize that you don't have to work so hard. You don't have to do what you see society doing because everybody in the world don't know any better. You know, let me teach you how to make this business journey enjoyable. You know, when you say stuff like, you know, you're very happy. I am, because I work with the number one customer in the world. I don't have to worry about where my next paycheck is coming in at. I don't have to worry about if I'm paying my employees good enough. You know, as long as the government is taking care of me, I can take care of other people. Yeah. You know? And so I cheat. I teach people, don't do it the hard way.
That's not necessarily cheating, because I know that process working with the government, like that, you're right on all those things, but to get approved as a vendor is kind of a lengthy process. So it's a little tedious in the beginning, but once you get them, you're pretty golden.
You're in there. Right. Well, and here's the thing. Like I said, I make it a habit of doing things right the first time. Right. Yeah. So as a business owner, the government doesn't ask you for something that you shouldn't already have. Yeah. And that's my thing. When you don't know any better, you don't know you need to operate an agreement. You don't know that you should be filing taxes every single year. You know, you don't know that you probably need business insurance. Yeah. You know? And so I help people knock this stuff out. You know, get that stuff done because you're going to need it anyways. Yeah. And so that makes the process easier for you to work with the government because you have all your ducks in a row. Yeah. You know, they're not asking you for something that you shouldn't have. You know, they don't do business with people. They do business with businesses. Right. They are a business, you know, and so I teach people how to structure their business correctly and then make it work for you, work with the customer that's going to make you happy.
Yeah.
That's
and you help them build a foundation, because all those things are very like a key foundation elements to your business as you get started and going. So that's awesome. So you are trademarked. Tell us about that a little bit.
So as I stated earlier, when I drift off on my own, I thought I was a big girl, and I was like, I can do this. I don't need my sister. I got this. I know everything. Like we all think, we know everything. I started following society, and I started following what entrepreneurship looked like online. And online, it looked like if you didn't have your calendar filled up, you were not a successful entrepreneur, because every time you turn around, they're booked. They're doing something. So we thought they're getting paid, and I'm like, I want to be like that. That's what I want mine to look like. Yeah. And so I started up filling up my calendar with all kinds of stuff, even stuff that wasn't even getting me paid. I was so booked and busy because that's what entrepreneurship was. You had to be booked and busy for you to be one of the it girls. And so after I started filling up my calendar with all that mess and it wasn't bringing in or producing revenue, I was like, who made up this rule? Who said that we had to be booked and busy? Yeah. Why do we feel like we have to work 3 times harder than anybody else for us to be quote unquote successful? Yeah. I don't want to be booked and busy. I don't even know. I was booked and tired. I was booked and stressed. I was booked and unhappy. I was booked and underpaid. I was booked and not spending time with my family. I didn't want that life anymore. And so I was like, I don't want to be booked and busy. I want to be paid and free. Yeah. And so every time I go in a meeting and everybody's like, oh, you need to be booked and busy, I was like, no. Say, no, I'm not booked and busy. I am paid and free. And it was one time in a corporate meeting, I had a guy, he said, wait a minute, what? I told him, the goal is not to be booked and busy. The goal is to be paid and free. Yeah. He was like, wait a minute, say that again. And so I repeated it. But when I repeated it, I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, really?
He was like, do you have merch that say paid and free? I was like, no. He was like, do you mind if I put that on a shirt? I was like, yeah, mind. Yeah, right. At that point, I caught on, right? I was like, yeah. And so my sister's an attorney, right? And so she was like, first of all, you better stop telling people that, okay? Because now people are like, oh, I like that. I like what you're saying. And then she's like, you got to trademark it. And so I did. I trademarked the quote and I trademarked paid and free. And so now we have merch and, we're trying to put a whole big line out there and in the stores. And we're just trying to change the way that people see entrepreneurship. Yeah. In small business, because at a point I thought that I had to be booked and busy. That's what everybody else.
Spinning your wheels, just spinning your wheels, just spinning.
Never stop.
Yeah. Never getting anywhere, just in the same place.
No, never.
I love it. That's awesome. So you're a new mommy.
I am.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so before we start wrapping things up, first of all, I want to say thank you for your service and for your husband's service, because it's not easy being with someone that is in the military, and bless you. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell us about this wall of fame behind you, because I see a lot of stuff there up there on the wall.
So my wall of fame, which by the way, my husband thought I was crazy when I was like, I'm doing a wall of fame. He's like, nobody has wall of fames. I was like, baby, listen, okay. When you've accomplished as much as I have, you have to be proud of it.
Absolutely.
And so, and I'm a minority and I'm a woman-owned successful business owner. Mm-hmm. The world beats me up enough. So the least I can do is walk into my home office and feel accomplished.
Hell yeah.
And so my wall of fame was so personal for me, because I'm like, I worked darn hard for my degrees, for my honor society, for everything that I've accomplished, all of my certifications. I'm like, I worked hard for it. And so if nothing else don't motivate me walking into my home office with seeing my accomplishments, because sometimes, you go through life and you're like, oh, I didn't do anything, because life just keeps passing you by. Yeah. And eventually you start forgetting all the great things you've done in the world. Yeah. And so my wall of fame just reminds me of all the great things that I've done. It's been hard. It ain't been easy, but at least when I walk into my office, it puts a smile on my face because I'm like, girl, you are doing it.
I love that. Yes. You have to, like, anything worth having is not going to come easy. And so it's a reminder of like the perseverance, the drive, the focus, everything that you put into getting to that, each one of those documents, those diplomas, those certifications, those awards for getting to where you are today. So I am all about it, girl. You and I are on the same page.
Girl power.
Where can people find you, connect with you, reach out to you if they've connected with you in your journey, your story? How can they find you?
So luckily I am the same on all platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, it is all the same, which is Moneybaggs with 2 G's 623. And one of my clients actually gave me that nickname, Moneybaggs.
I love it.
So it has stuck. And so all my platforms, you can find me with that @ symbol. My website is latashabrooks.com or paidandfree.com.
I love it. Moneybaggs. That's like manifestation to the 10th degree.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, this has been such a fun conversation. Before we say goodbye, I always like to ask for any last words of wisdom or advice. What would you like to leave with the audience today?
So I like to tell people 2 things. The first thing is you are responsible for changing your own life. Some of us got it so confused where we feel like my spouse is responsible. Yeah. My cousins this their job to buy my stuff. It's everybody else's fault except your own. You are responsible for changing your own life. The amount of work you put in is what you're going to get out of it. You don't like the input. If you don't like the output, you got to change the input. And then the second thing I like to tell people as a small business owner or an entrepreneur, make sure you understand the rules to the game before you start playing. Ooh. A lot of us like to play this game, but we don't realize that there's rules to it. And so if you understand that there are rules to it, and if you help yourself by researching and studying and learning these rules, it makes the game so much fun and easy, just like Monopoly. Anything in life, any game you start playing, you read the rules first. Entrepreneurship is the exact same way. Read the rules, understand what you're getting yourself into before you get into it so you can enjoy. I love beating people in Monopoly because I know how to play.
You're funny. I love it. What is it? The saying, don't hate the player, hate the game, right? So
that's right.
If you're reading the rules, you're going to hate anybody. You're going to get ahead.
That's right. That's right. You're going to be one step ahead of everybody else because you know what to do. So.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. You guys, I'm going to put all her links in the show notes. So go find her, connect with her, at least go follow her on social media and check her out. So she's absolutely awesome, driven, full of energy. You got to give such a great vibe. So I just love this conversation so much.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. Listen, if they're not on your podcast, they better get on there because you got the game locked up. I love it.
Thank you so much. Well, you keep us posted on any new projects or anything new that you've got coming out. We'd like to bring you back and update the audience. So thank you, Coach Brooks. It has been such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
You guys, this is your host, Deanna Radulescu with Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to comment, rate, review, share, follow, all those good things. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.